Okay, so we're going to do a weather briefing today in a way, taking into account a lot of what you've learned throughout this course. So let's just see what's going on and what's really to focus on today. So I'm going to look right now at just a satellite image of the U.S. Hopefully there we go. A couple things come to my mind real fast. I can see some areas of fog up here. I'm seeing something coming down off the mountain ranges out in the Rockies. And I noticed this spin out here. So there's some kind of an upper level low that's going on over New Mexico right now. Also notice a lot of low clouds right along the Gulf Coast. And a lot of cloud cover there. And if you look at the satellite pictures, you can kind of see an easterly flow in the Gulf of Mexico that pushes it up into here, bringing some moisture in. So a couple areas if I'm flying today I'm going to wonder about. I'm going to wonder right along the immediate Gulf Coast, maybe looking at some fog parts of the South Virginia coast, and some pretty bumpy clouds looking up here in the mountains, New England area. So I'm looking closely at the eastern two-thirds of the U.S. too. I'm not really focusing out west. There's not a lot going on out there right now, so we'll focus on this. But this is just one picture. So gives me a broad overview of areas I might be concerned with. Since I don't know where you're flying today, I'm just going to come up with a general area. But let's take a look at some other images. I want to know if there's lightning, for example, down here in the south. Now, this is a lightning image that's coming up. And all these are freely available to you out here. And there is some lightning. It looks like down here in parts of Oklahoma and Texas, you can see some thunderstorms. So it tells me that at least some instability down here. Probably not going to be fun to fly into this area for parts of the day today. Oh yeah, there's some off the East Coast, off of Florida here too. Some more lightning developing. So what are we got here? So let's take a look at the surface quickly to go along with this map. The surface analysis at this time, the latest one, shows a cold front, basically a stationary front, right along there. Just to the north side of that front is where all these clouds are. So if you're on the north side, warm air's lifted up over it, you're probably going to have a lot of low ceilings. Oh yeah, your convection back here that we were seeing, it's going to be a loft. It's not really it's not convection that's real low to the ground. So you're probably not getting severe weather out of it. But the interesting thing is it's 46 degrees down in here, so it's kind of cold. There might be some hail in that kind of convection because it's very cold air. So something else to think about. You got a little low down here too trying to form. So we saw that spin out there in the atmosphere. So that is the key to the whole forecast with time. Where is that spin going to go? Is it going to be tracking to the east, and how is it going to move? So let's just take a look at the jet stream today. And you can actually see it right here, rotating around over New Mexico. And there's a jet way down south across the southern part of the U.S., not much in the middle, and then another one up north. Notice how the two jets kind of come together in the eastern third of the country here. What is you would think would happen is this thing is moving to the east. Since there already is a trough or low pressure here, this thing's probably going to amplify when it's going to get over here. So later this week, into the late weekend and early next week, as this thing's moving east, we're going to have to deal with something in the eastern part of the U.S. So now that we've looked at that, let's go back here and just see what the actual forecast products are for the next couple days. We can look at a quick overview here, and we see that low, a little bit of snow there throughout the day. By day 2, That low is getting going. We're pushing that northward now. We're getting snow into Indiana, Ohio, and rain out ahead of it. Probably even, look at this front right here. I bet this is going to come back up northward with it. And day 3, you can see it coming. Warm air is getting along the East Coast, probably some thunderstorms in here. And the low, it's getting pretty decent and getting stronger here now. So you can see the evolution with what you just looked at. Overview, Brian, seeing what's going on today, seeing how it's changing with time. So if you're flying this week, these are considerations of areas where you're going to have to deal with some weather. So there's a lot of information out here for you as a pilot from the Aviation Weather Center. Right now there's convective segments, turbulence, IFR conditions, low ceiling, just north of that front like we talked about. All things we have talked about in the class. And with their charts you can find forecasts for convection, turbulence, even icing. And I would expect there to be maybe some icing developing down in that part of the world where we were looking at. And there it is. Remember, we talked about how cold it was down there. Even with the thunderstorms and stuff, there's probably going to be some icing developing in that area. So if you're a pilot flying into that area, you might be thinking about, well, I got to deal with some icing potential down there today. It may move to the east with time. You can actually progress this outwards and see how it changes and evolves with time. So now that we've looked at this, there's some neat stuff going on in the Weather Service that's coming. Not every office is doing this yet, or actually putting out to the public yet. All of them are practicing it. What this is a graphical forecast of ceilings. Low IFR, IFR, MVFR, VFR. Notice the low IFR in the river valleys here. The forecast of the lowest conditions you expect are in the river valleys. However, there's some IFR on top of some of the mountains. So there may be some mountains that are getting obscured out here, depending on what kind of aircraft you're flying. These type of forecasts are beginning to be developed and looked at for the entire National Weather Service. I wanted to give you a clue as to what's out there, what's coming. Probably in the next couple of years, you're going to begin seeing graphics like this that literally will flow with time. They'll give you the worst expected conditions, and they'll give you some ideas of how it's going to change and improve. And here you can actually see, for example, by 11 a.m., more of the clouds are up in the mountains. By 2 p.m., no bad conditions, really. So visibility is along with that. You can actually get into the future more here with these forecasts out. They actually go out 72 hours, so you're getting a pretty long-range forecast. Notice this is the airport for Charleston where you normally get your TAFs. But because of these graphics, you can get TAFs at a lot of different airports. So you can get another idea. Oh yeah, one of the other things coming along is confidence they have in the forecast. So for example, at Elkins, they don't have a very high confidence later today, and they have some medium confidence here. But these are, most of the forecast is fairly high confidence, not a lot of it. So again, just some new information that is coming your way as a pilot that you can use in your weather. There's also a new radar coming out. This chart is going to be available in December. So I wanted to show you a couple things on it. When we talked earlier that radar, you can look at reflectivity and you can look at dual polarization. I'm not a big fan of the color curve necessarily, but this is a dual polarized radar out of Abilene, Texas. Notice here, kind of stays uniform. Not a lot of change in color in this area. This is actually a line where we're kind of looking where the transition to snow may be occurring. There's probably snowing up here aloft above this line, where it's raining down here below this line. That's just something you can see. And see another one down here. Remember, radars are shooting up into the sky, so these elevations, this may be a similar elevation to this. So this is just one of the products. You can see here's a reflectivity product with it at the same time here. You can see all the showers and stuff here out north of the Abilene area. So this is what's going on in real time. And these are products that will be coming to you to take advantage. You can utilize. One of the things I did want to show is here is models that are going to be showing the same thing. This is a reflectivity forecast from a high resolution model. And you can see we were looking at the rain out here and looking at the rain down here along the Gulf Coast. And if you start this up, you can actually see it evolve. You can see the snow out here near New Mexico and that cold upper low that's out there. And you can see the rain spreading east and northeast. So if you're making a flight into New Orleans today, you can say, oh man, earlier in the day I got in, the better it's going to be. Later in the day, more rain. And there's some yellow in these things and stuff. That might even be some thunderstorms out here. So again, and here's probably the warm front pushing northward. So something to think about. So this is just from one model. So let's take a look at a different thing. We'll look a little bit further into the future. And we looked at this. Out here, we saw the low, saw the precipitation and the cold front. This is 850 millibar temperatures and surface pressures with precipitation overlaid on them. So if I'm looking for snow, I want temperatures below zero at 850 millibars at least. So I'm not looking for much snow. 850 millibars is about 5,000 feet. But you can move this along here, and we'll get into Sunday morning. And you don't really see a whole lot happening yet. But what I want you to notice is look at that cold air coming down in Canada right now. -12, -18 up here. So as that's coming south, it's helping to feed this low that's developing in here. Notice the temperature gradient is getting stronger with time between the ground and the low here. So we're going to move up a little bit more in time here. And here's that low coming out now, 1,008 millibars. Temperatures go literally from +9 here, +12 here, all the way back to below -9, -6 back here. So there's an 18 degrees Celsius spread across this low right now. Low is 1,008 millibars. We talked about there being like a trough in the east coast of the United States. Well, here's your trough as it's moving eastward, developing and strengthening. So this is Monday morning, Monday afternoon, getting a pretty strong low, 993 millibars. Pretty good wind around it. So if you're flying around the Great Lakes, you're going to get winds off the Great Lakes. Notice this plume of moisture coming off Lake Michigan. We've talked about lake effect snow. So here's your lake effect snow. Here's lake effect snow coming down, probably enhancing the precipitation into Ohio. And with this thing continuing to move away, you're going to start getting it into West Virginia mountains. You're also probably going to get some pretty strong turbulence across the mountains by later that day. Notice the winds start picking over from the northwest into the mountains. The zero line's here, so you're going to have icing potentials. So it really developing into quite an impressive little system along the East Coast. It's going to cause a lot of flight delays there. The final thing, just show you real quickly how it evolved. And you can see our low friend here. This is looking at about 300 millibars. There is a trough on the East Coast, a Rossby wave kind of trough. So this is allowing this to enhance, develop down. It picks up this low. Jet comes out, divergence, strong low developing in here. But this really intensifies and actually gets cut off from the main flow with time. Main flow is still coming in across up here, and this is sitting way down here now. So literally, you're going to wait for this next jet to come to push that out. So it's going to be slow going for a few days there. So hope you got some ideas out this course. Just taking a look at all of this, and hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any questions.